Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Michael Butler Midday Show. It is a midday show. Don't you know? Don't you know? Oh, that was a fun break. An eclectic blend of music for you. Right now, as promised, I'd like to welcome to the air...
Hey, what's going on?
Mr. Rod Weber, how are you?
Oh, I'm all right. Can't complain. Yourself?
I'm enjoying myself today. Just waking up into the world, despite all of despite the fact that I feel like a major crime has been committed today in the world of politics. The fact that the AP reported that Hillary Clinton has clinched the nomination with the necessary amount of delegates, including the superdelegates. It already came out a week or two ago that even the person within the Democratic Party who was in control of that exact function says, well, that's actually not the way it works. It's the superdelegates will make their positions known, I suppose, around the convention time. But until that point, we operate specifically only on pledged delegate number up into the convention.
Yeah, no, I've had some otherwise reasonable friends making statements and proclamations of, well, Hillary's clinched it. So what do you say, Bernie bots? What's your argument now? And I don't want to hear anything about, the rigged media, et cetera, et cetera. Basically saying that, well, you better not answer what the logical answer is, which is, and for every argument that they make, it seems as though, well, you could just easily switch Hillary's name with Bernie's name and say that, well, your argument is just as quote unquote idiotic. Those are the words that I hate getting into all of this, but I mean it's turned into this childish. It's turned into romper room. I mean, the arguments that I'm seeing flying back and forth today.
Yeah, there's that, but then there's the idea that they decide to break this story like the eve of and day of the biggest primary day, in the process. And you know what? I've looked at it, and it could affect the situation either way. You know what I mean? You would think that it is absolutely a dastardly deed to pull by declaring her the winner, as it affects people's mentality, whether or not they should go for voting for Bernie Sanders this on Tuesday. Certainly, it's messed up like that. But also, is there a chance that it convinces some Hillary supporters to stay home because she's got it in the bag?
Yeah, it's utterly messed up. I think it'll backfire on them, quite honestly. But that remains to be seen. Oftentimes, with all this stuff, the cover up is worse than the crime. And that's kind of what I was saying to a lot of people that were trying to make predictions after the melee in Nevada. When that stuff went down, my thought was, there's no getting back from this kind of mentality. If the DNC and the Hillary bots keep behaving like this, it's going to make the Bernie contingent more resolute in their Bernie or bust movement, right. And it's going to split things up. And so if they choose Hillary, I think Trump will be the president. I hope that's not the case. Well, they should do the same thing. The same thing would be to pick Bernie because he does better in the polls. But because it's going to be a contested convention. So the AP making this proclamation is ridiculous.
It's ridiculous.
80.
Yeah.
80.
Yeah, but and the fact is by pulling antics like this is how you not just upset Bernie Sanders supporters, but you upset Bernie Sanders. And the fact is you're going to need Bernie Sanders if you're really determined, both of you, both Hillary and Bernie Sanders to defeat Donald Trump. Well, then you have to put away your differences. Ultimately, you'd have to logically say that the best opportunity, if Hillary's the nomination to defeat Donald Trump, would be to do it with Bernie Sanders as a vice president.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to bury their differences, quite honestly. I hate to be like that, but I just think there's too much of a rift.
I also heard, by the way, that they're vetting Elizabeth Warren as a vice presidential candidate partner for Hillary, I should say.
I keep hearing that too, and I wouldn't put it past her. I'd lose a lot of respect for her, but I don't know. It is what it is. The whole thing is beyond messed up, and quite honestly, I have my head a little bit stuck in this whole the Donald Trump thing, which is actually a pressing reality for me that the rest of the world doesn't experience in the same way as me, since I actually have court.
Sure.
With the bastards tomorrow. So I'm I'm at the bank right now. I got a pile of checks here from a number of jobs I did, and I'm going to deposit. I wish I'd gotten them yesterday, but I'm totally back in business because I got a couple $1,000 in the bank account now. So I'm back on the road. I'm going to go to the Trump rally in Westchester, New York tonight. Then court in the morning, and we'll see if he announces any more last-minute shenanigans after that. I've just been going through these videos to try to figure out the best way to make the case to the judge. Because really it's a First Amendment thing. They get this guy on, Congressman Tom Marino. And he starts talking about that, Donald Trump is to be admired because he's not afraid to use the word God. And he's going on about the Bible. Then Trump comes on himself and he's saying, I know the Bible so much better than lying Ted. He brings out his Bible, lying Ted, and he just lies. Kind of the implication that, this sort of thing is part of the course, and Scripture is something that we should talk about at his rallies. And so when he starts talking about making everyone rich, I throw out a little something from Matthew. It's easier for a camel to go through the eye of a needle than a rich man into the gates of heaven. And for that, I was thrown out, arrested, and kept in a jail cell for 5 hours. So.
Yeah, which is ridiculous.
Yep.
For just opening your mouth in a open rally.
Yep, but at this stage, since I've been arrested a couple times, I can't keep doing the GoFundMe to ask everyone for money. I think it'd be a little bit crummy.
I don't know. I don't know, because a lot of people would respect the fact that you're doing that. We can't all do that. We all want to go there and yell out something in defiance, but we can't necessarily do that. You're actually doing that for us, and maybe we should all fund you for that if there's anything that you need. Of course, rodweber.com, Weber with 2 B's.
Yeah, if anyone feels like chipping in, that would sure be great and all, but I don't expect it at this stage. That'd be very kind.
Of course. You're not doing it expecting handouts. You're just you're doing this because it's kind of like a calling. I had this realization the other day that especially there's coming into this week of shows after the week that was. Especially this is where Trump is supposed to turn the corner and become more presidential, but in fact he's become less. He had that meltdown against the press earlier this week, where he called them all sleazy and went after them because they caught him in a lie that he had done this fundraiser and gave money to organizations, except he hadn't given anyone any money at that point. And then eventually,
that was the Veterans Organization, and it's rumored that he even. Just the last minute threw something like $1 million of his own money into the kitty to make it look like
exactly
he hadn't done what he'd done. Obviously, we won't know the details for a long time because he's pretty good at obscuring these things.
Yeah.
But the other one is obviously him calling out Judge Curiel for his Mexico or his Latino heritage.
Yeah, right, exactly, and that's the whole thing. It's like with the first, right, and it leads right to that.
Yep, and I really think it's. I like the ad that Hillary put out, and that's not an endorsement for Hillary, but I think in some ways she framed it all wrong because she kept using these quotes about Mexican heritage, and I know they're all from having spoken to all these Trump supporters that would come right back and say Mexico is not it's not a race,
right,
and. We have to go back to the original quote where he calls out the name itself, which is pointing to the Latino or Spanish origins of it. I think that was the right way to frame it because it's more clear there. You even have Mark Halperin from the circus. He got on one of the the talk shows, and he starts making the argument that I was saying. He made the argument that Mexican is not a race, and of course it was going to go there. Of course it was going to go there, and he's supposed to be a neutral reporter, but I don't know. I just feel as though so many of these folks have their heads up their tokuses.
Sure.
Trying to use a pretty word there. But, what Trump is doing, it looks like he's just going to further melt down.
Yeah, in a way, he sort of he provided the Democratic nominee a lot of ammunition this week.
Absolutely.
Because these are the type of things like the Jake Tapper interview is the kind of thing that will get, like, obviously already it's been like cut up into commercial form, and when he defiantly just says he's a Mexican like 3 times in a row, and it's like
Judas.
It's just like you can slow that down and put the evil filter on it and make it look as disturbing and racist as you want. I mean, it is the truth isn't that racism and a bigoted mentality, and it is. Whatever.
Oh,
you
yeah,
want,
when he says Mexican, we can say, okay, yeah, no, we get it. Mexican is not a race, but we know exactly what you mean. Mexico is, the population there. I don't know the exact statistic, but I'm sure it's well over 90%.
Sure.
So we know what he means. It's with any of these guys, it's codified language.
Well, here's the ridiculous thing, by the way, is that it's as much as he wants to say that he's been treated unfairly in this case, he hasn't been treated unfairly in this case. Okay, so that one particular ruling went his way, but one that did go his way, same judge, was that he would continue this case. It was supposed to be heard before November, and I was looking forward to it. He continued the case till after the election. This is the same judge who gave him the greatest favor of all time. Says, no, run your con on the American people, and then we'll let them know what kind of a scumbag you are.
Right. It's, oh my God. I can't believe how much I was a little upset when I heard that ruling.
Very upset.
And then Trump comes back and makes it sound like this guy is like a douche who's done him wrong.
Right. Continuously done him wrong. He obviously is against me, and it's just the worst decisions he's been given. And it's because hey, I'm building a wall. He's Mexican. I'm building a wall.
He's the worst. Yeah, these guys are horrible. I'm building a wall. Go fuck it. Go after it.
Say it. Yeah, it's the way we might as well. That's basically that's the campaign. It's not make America great again. It's like, I'm Donald Trump. Go fuck yourself. Sorry, I had to go there.
Yeah, that's what it is, though. That's his entire campaign. Okay, and so here's the other thing. After Trump became the presumptive nominee, and again, people ask me for my predictions. I said, well, listen, here's the thing. Jeb Bush, Lindsey Graham, any of the Republicans that were taking flowers for me in my whole Flowers for Peace project. Right. I'll bet you right now that they're going to be the ones who are the sanest in all of this, and they'll be the last to endorse them. So, of course, and it blows my mind that, Jeb Bush and the Bush family of all people, they refuse to endorse him. And then finally, the camel that breaks the straw's back is this whole thing with Judge Curio, and then Lindsey Graham, who was like my second biggest supporter in the whole flower thing. And John Kasich, who was also a huge supporter of the flower thing. These guys come out and they say, no way, rescind your endorsement of Donald Trump. And so that Rorschach test that I kept talking about, how I was the Rorschach test,
right?
It's coming true. It actually, you can actually predict what some of these politicians will do based upon how they reacted to my Rorschach test of Flowers for Peace.
Brilliant. And it's you can see that was the whole point, is that you would be able to see this about them based on how they reacted to you.
Yeah, and it's not to toot my own horn, but I can't help but feel a little bit of gratification. And look, I told you so. But you have to go down and challenge them in certain ways to find out which one of these, which of the candidates are actually human beings. And that's the weirdest thing. I'm being, against George Bush's political positions. I
when I went into meeting, Jeb Bush the first time, I didn't have high expectations. But the more I got to know the guy, I thought to myself, he's not at all like his brother. And again, that's not an endorsement for Jeb Bush. I mean, most of his policies are utterly backward. But the one thing I can say for the guy, he's got a Mexican wife. His sons and daughters are Latino. If Jeb Bush had been the nominee, we'd be listening to an entirely different campaign cycle. I mean, this guy was all about the love and hugs. And yeah, let's include these Hispanic people, these Mexicans. Build a wall? Are you insane? That's where my family is from. So I don't know. You start to feel embarrassed for the country anytime Donald Trump opens his mouth. It's just,
yes, and especially on the world stage, because I have been in situations where people from like other countries, in my other job, I might pick them up from, like, let's say, the airport. They come in here and they want to chat about America and what's going on. One of the first questions are like, "You guys really? What is this thing with Donald Trump?
Right.
What is that all about?" Like, it's
I can't imagine the shame that you must feel.
Yeah. Well, I have to handle that question very, very strong as to represent that the country is still, like, there's some strength and intelligence left in here, and it's just, well, this is a divided nation. If anyone who has been paying attention over the years can clearly know that it traces back to the Civil War. There's a history of racism. There's a history of bad behavior. And there's those who are progressive, and there are those who are regressive. And, they found themselves a regressive candidate. And it's up to the rest of us to fight for what's right.
Yeah. I was watching, speaking of the Civil War, I was watching some old Ron Paul clips, because I guess that's how I am. When I need to relax and get away from watching Donald Trump clips, I watch old Ron Paul clips or any other old things. And a fascinating thing, and again, that's not an endorsement for Ron or Rand Paul, but Ron Paul vehemently against the idea of the Civil War. He said we did not need to fight it. And it's a fascinating notion, the way that he frames it, in that, all this.
Hello? Oh, I think we lost him. Let's see if he calls back. Maybe I'll go get him. He was on a roll. We're all on a roll. We got a couple minutes left. Yeah, all right. There we go. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have arrived at the end of the Michael Butler Midday Show for today. Hey, look who's back. Hello, Rod.
Hey, sorry, my phone overheated in the sun, but I put some ice on it and I'm getting better now.
Wait, let me just kill my end theme for a second. Hey, let's get back into this, shall we?
Yeah, I don't know where I cut out at, but I think I was talking to myself for a couple minutes there.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right up at the wall. I had just gone into my goodbye cadence, but we'll stick around for just a couple minutes here, just to finish up. I know, why not tell me about? I think it was the Democracide event. Wasn't that at Sweet Tree over the weekend? Is that what we were calling it?
Yeah, so Dave Tree of Sweet Tree, or a lot of people might know him from the band Tree back in the 90s. They were big, and occasionally they still play shows. But Dave Tree is also a street artist, or in street artist style, a lot of them on canvas, because his whole thing, he's got a print shop. He does T-shirts, and it's called Sweet Tree Inc. And so he hosts, gallery showings of those of us who've got political artwork, and that's something that I've done for a long time outside of even just being on the campaign trail. And also, I mean, Dave Tree's stuff is great. He's got one of Hillary Clinton as Medusa, one of Hillary as Rambo, and it was killing me when I saw the Rambo one, because I've been working on a Rambo thing, and often.
Is that going to be one of your new looks at the rallies?
I hope not. But
Rambo chic.
Sometimes I get a touch of jealousy when I'm hanging out with Dave, because we're kind of in that same realm. But the big one that he put out for me was
the Cthulhu Ted Cruz, and all the pieces that I've been doing.
Oh wow,
Are,
I'm a big Cthulhu man, so like I got to see that.
Yeah, so it's all photographs taken on the campaign trail, actual photographs. So Ted Cruz is looking into my eyes, and I wanted to think of, well, he's talking about peace through strength, and what's a peaceful creature but also strong. And so I thought, well, giant squid. So I made giant squid tentacles coming out of his mouth and out of mine, and kind of a loving Cthulhu embrace, because I still want to keep it peaceful, but as weird as possible as well.
Sure.
So I don't want to go so far as to to be a Medusa or anything like that. But sometimes you just gotta call it like it is. So there's a bunch of ones of me and Jeb holding hands with flowers and with rainbows, tanks with peace signs on them. It's just things that make you think outside of the box, imagery that will stimulate the mind, body, soul, and I made 9 sales, so I felt good about that.
Excellent.
I think everyone should drop by. It's 281 Mount Auburn Street in Watertown. About 6 or 7 blocks from Watertown Square, if you're familiar with that. But Dave Tree, great guy. He had he had me play a couple songs. A couple of other folks out there playing some music as well. Good time was had by all. Dave Tree knows how to put on a show.
Oh yeah, no doubt, and a party. So that's great, and I'm glad you're, I'm glad you're getting a chance to, you've been on the road to, just be able to take part in the local scene, just to touch base and and still maintain, a presence, and I think that's very cool. Rod, I gotta go. Thanks for calling in, and good luck tomorrow. And feel free to check in with me tomorrow, the next day. I want to hear from you before the end of the week.
Excellent. Wish me luck.
All right. Yes, good luck, Rod. Thank you for calling.
All right, you do.
All right, bye. Rod Weber, ladies and gentlemen.